The city hums with relentless energy, horns blaring, footsteps echoing, neon signs flickering against the night sky. Amid the chaos, Aaliyah, just 19 years old, sits on the cold pavement outside a café. Her belongings fit into a single worn backpack. Her most treasured possession, a tattered notebook filled with poems and stories she's written by hand. Each page is a fragment of the future she still dreams of, even as reality presses down hard. Her mornings begin with uncertainty. Will she find food today? Will she be safe tonight? She scavenges for scraps, sometimes relying on the kindness of strangers, sometimes enduring the sting of indifference. Yet, despite her struggles, Aaliyah carries herself with quiet dignity. She refuses to let hardship erase her humanity. When others pass by, she offers a smile, even if they don't return it. Her resilience is her shield. Aaliyah's backstory is heartbreaking. She once excelled in school, her teachers praising her vivid imagination and gift for words. But after her mother's sudden passing and her father's descent into addiction, her world collapsed. With no relatives to turn to, she slipped through society's cracks. Still, she clings to hope, believing that kindness, however small, can ripple outward and change lives. Meanwhile, across town, Jonathan Hale, a billionaire CEO, lives in a different universe. His days are filled with meetings, investors, and decisions that shape industries. He is admired for his empire but criticized for being detached from everyday struggles. To him, success is measured in numbers, not human connections. He rarely notices the people who serve his coffee, clean his offices, or sleep on the sidewalks outside his skyscraper headquarters, but fate has a way of bridging worlds. On this particular afternoon, Jonathan steps out of a cafe, distracted by a phone call. As he adjusts his coat, his wallet slips from his pocket, landing unnoticed on the pavement. Inside are credit cards, business contacts, and documents worth more than most people's yearly income. He walks away, unaware of what he's lost. Aaliyah sees it. Her stomach growls. She hasn't eaten in 2 days. The temptation is overwhelming. That wallet could mean food, shelter, maybe even a chance to start over. But as she holds it in her hands, she feels the weight of her own values. Her mother once told her, "Your integrity is the one thing no one can take from you." Those words echo now. She takes a deep breath, stands up, and calls out to Jonathan. This moment, her choice to return the wallet instead of keeping it sets the stage for everything that follows. It is the spark that ignites a chain reaction of kindness, transforming not only Aaliyah's life but Jonathan's and eventually an entire community. Before we continue with this incredible journey, I spent countless hours researching and crafting this story to bring you something truly meaningful. If stories like this touch your heart and you want to see more acts of kindness that restore faith in humanity, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It means the world to me and helps these important stories reach others who need to hear them. Now, let's see what happens next. Jonathan Hale strides down the sidewalk, phone pressed to his ear, his voice sharp with urgency. He doesn't notice the wallet missing from his pocket. Aaliyah, clutching it in her hands, hesitates. Her stomach twists with hunger, but her conscience speaks louder. She calls out, her voice trembling yet firm, "Sir, excuse me, you dropped this." Jonathan turns, startled. His eyes land on Aaliyah, her clothes worn, her face tired, but her gaze steady. For a moment, he assumes she wants something from him. But when she extends the wallet, untouched, his expression shifts. Surprise flickers across his face. You didn't take anything," he asks, almost incredulous. Aaliyah shakes her head. "It's yours. I figured you'd need it more than me." That sentence lingers. Jonathan, a man used to transactions and negotiations, is confronted with pure integrity from someone who has nothing. He studies her, realizing she could have vanished with his fortune in her hands. Instead, she chose honesty. Jonathan pauses, lowering his phone. For the first time in years, he feels compelled to act outside his routine. "Have you eaten today?" he asks. Aaliyah hesitates, embarrassed. "Not really, but I'll be fine." Jonathan insists. He gestures toward the café. Inside, the warm aroma of fresh bread and coffee fills the air. Aaliyah sits nervously at a corner table, unsure if she belongs. Jonathan orders a full meal for her: sandwiches, soup, and tea. As she eats, Jonathan watches. He notices the notebook beside her, its pages filled with handwritten words. Curious, he asks, "What's that?" Aaliyah smiles faintly. "My stories. I want to be a writer someday. It's the only thing that keeps me going." Her words strike him. Here is a young woman, homeless and hungry, yet still clinging to dreams. Jonathan feels something stir, a recognition of humanity beyond wealth. The cafe worker overhears and quietly adds a slice of cake to Aaliyah's plate. Whispering on the house, a passerby, noticing the scene, offers her a scarf. Small gestures begin to ripple outward, each act of kindness building on the last. Jonathan leans forward. "You know, most people in your situation would have kept the wallet. Why didn't you?" Aaliyah replies softly, "Because I don't want to lose myself. If I give up my integrity, then I've lost everything." Jonathan sits back, stunned. For years, he measured success in profits. Now, he sees success in a girl's courage to remain honest despite having nothing. The conversation deepens. Jonathan shares fragments of his own life: the pressures of leadership, the loneliness of wealth. Aaliyah listens, offering empathy without judgment. In return, she opens up about her mother's wisdom, her father's struggles, and her fight to survive. For the first time, Jonathan feels seen not as a CEO, but as a man. And Aaliyah feels valued not as a statistic, but as a human being. This moment marks the beginning of trust. Two worlds, one of privilege, one of poverty, collide, not in conflict, but in compassion. What would you do if you discovered someone with incredible talent living in such difficult circumstances? Let me know your thoughts below. I read every comment. Over the next few days, Jonathan finds himself thinking about Aaliyah constantly. Her honesty, her notebook full of dreams, it lingers in his mind far more than any business deal. He decides to meet her again. Returning to the cafe, he finds her sitting outside, scribbling in her notebook. "You're here again," he says, smiling faintly. Aaliyah looks up, surprised. "I come here when I need quiet. It helps me write." Jonathan sits beside her, an unusual gesture for a man used to boardrooms and penthouses. They talk about her stories, her mother's wisdom, his own childhood. Slowly, trust begins to grow. He offers her small acts of kindness, a warm meal, a ride to a shelter, even a new set of pens and notebooks. Each gesture is met with gratitude, but Aaliyah never loses her dignity. She insists on earning her way, even in small ways, helping the cafe staff sweep floors, sharing her poems with children at the shelter. Word spreads. The cafe worker who gave her cake tells others about her talent. A passerby who donated a scarf returns with a bag of clothes. The ripple effect expands. Aaliyah begins to feel seen, valued, and hopeful. Jonathan, too, changes. He starts questioning his own life, why he's spent years chasing numbers while ignoring humanity. He finds himself drawn not to her poverty, but to her resilience and creativity. But just as things begin to improve, reality strikes. One evening, police approach Aaliyah outside the cafe. They inform her that loitering is prohibited and she could face fines or even jail time. Jonathan arrives just in time to intervene, but the incident shakes them both. Aaliyah feels humiliated. "I don't belong anywhere," she whispers, tears in her eyes. "Even when I try to do the right thing, the world pushes me back down." Jonathan is furious not at her, but at the system. He realizes that helping her isn't just about meals or notebooks. It's about confronting barriers that keep people trapped in cycles of poverty. Yet, doubts creep in. Can he really make a difference? Will his involvement be seen as charity rather than genuine care? And Aaliyah wonders if trusting him is a mistake. What if he loses interest, like so many others who promised help but disappeared? This obstacle tests them both. Jonathan's commitment is challenged, and Aaliyah's hope begins to waver. The tension builds, setting the stage for a deeper transformation. Have you ever had to overcome obstacles to help someone you cared about? What challenges did you face? Share your experience below. The incident with the police leaves Aaliyah shaken, but Jonathan refuses to let it end there. He calls his assistant, arranges meetings with local shelter directors, and begins quietly funding programs to protect young people like her. But more importantly, he stays present. He doesn't just throw money at the problem, he shows up. One evening, Jonathan invites Aaliyah to his office. She hesitates, intimidated by the towering skyscraper, but he reassures her. Inside, he hands her a laptop. "You said you want to be a writer. Start here, right? Share your voice." Aaliyah's eyes widen. For the first time, she feels possibility stretching before her. She begins typing, pouring her heart into essays and poems. Jonathan connects her with a local community center that hosts open mic nights. Nervously, Aaliyah reads her work aloud. The audience is captivated. Her words, raw, honest, hopeful, move people to tears. The ripple effect grows. The cafe worker organizes a fundraiser to support her writing. The passerby who once gave her a scarf now volunteers at the shelter. Jonathan's colleagues, inspired by his shift in priorities, donate time and resources. What began as one act of honesty blossoms into a movement of compassion. Weeks later, Aaliyah's life looks entirely different. She has a safe place to stay, clothes that fit, and meals she doesn't have to beg for. More importantly, she has confidence. Her writing gains attention, local newspapers publish her poems, and she begins mentoring younger kids at the shelter. Jonathan, too, transforms. He no longer sees success as numbers on a spreadsheet. He sees it in lives changed, in communities strengthened. His bond with Aaliyah reminds him of his own humanity, long buried under ambition. Together, they celebrate milestones. Aaliyah's first published piece. Jonathan's new foundation dedicated to youth empowerment. The cafe hosting her book reading. Each moment is a testament to kindness reshaping lives. The story comes full circle. One afternoon, Aaliyah walks past the same cafe where it all began. She sees a young boy struggling, clutching a torn backpack. Without hesitation, she offers him food and encouragement. Jonathan watches from a distance, smiling. The roles have shifted. Aaliyah, once the recipient of kindness, is now its giver. The ripple continues outward, proving that compassion is contagious. Her journey from survival to thriving, from invisible to inspiring, shows that one act of honesty can ignite a chain reaction powerful enough to change entire communities. This story shows how one act of kindness can change everything. What's one way you could make a difference in someone's life today? Challenge yourself and share your commitment in the comments. Months have passed since that fateful day outside the cafe. Aaliyah is no longer the girl sitting on the cold pavement, clutching a worn notebook. She now has a safe home, a growing career as a writer, and a community that believes in her voice. Her poems are published in local magazines, and she's invited to speak at schools, inspiring other young people who feel invisible. Jonathan Hale has changed too. His foundation continues to grow, funding shelters, literacy programs, and mentorship opportunities. But more importantly, Jonathan himself has become deeply connected to the people his wealth once kept him apart from. He spends time at community centers, listening, learning, and giving not just money, but presence. The cafe worker who first offered cake now runs a volunteer group. The passerby who gave Aaliyah a scarf organizes clothing drives. The ripple effect continues, proving that kindness doesn't end with one act, it multiplies. This story is more than just about a billionaire and a homeless girl. It's about the power of integrity, the courage to choose kindness even when life feels impossible, and the way compassion can bridge divides. Aaliyah's journey reminds us that no one is truly invisible, and Jonathan's transformation shows that wealth means little without humanity. Kindness is contagious. It spreads from one person to another, creating waves that reach farther than we can imagine. And it begins with simple choices: returning a wallet, offering a meal, listening to someone's story. Stories like this remind us that extraordinary kindness exists all around us. If this touched your heart, please like this video. It helps more people discover these inspiring stories. Subscribe for more tales of human kindness that will restore your faith in humanity. And most importantly, look for opportunities in your own life to be someone's unexpected blessing. What act of kindness will you perform this week? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and remember, you have the power to change someone's entire world.